It's finished here at the Crown Oil Arena, Rochdale 3, Altrincham 0. Manager Phil Parkinson joins me. Phil, a tough night in North Manchester.
Yep, totally agree with you. Really tough night, and we knew it would be. They're a very good team. They'll go above us now, and rightly so. It's not very often I come out and say it, but they're ahead of us in every department at the moment, and we've got a lot of improvements to do. Because if we do make the playoffs, and we come across these, we don't want to just make the playoffs to get beat. So, for me, a bit of a benchmark game for us the next time we play them to show that we can catch them up a little bit. Because on and off the pitch, I include myself in that. Obviously, we're not up to speed of what we need to do to beat a Rochdale right now, and if we want to go up out the playoffs, that's what we've got to be able to achieve.
First half was much better from Altrincham. A couple of chances in there, including Alex Newbin. I thought Kasper Pasiek as well did really well in that first half. Talk to me about the tactical change there with Banks being on the bench.
It was just precautionary. We've had lots of really tough away fixtures. I mean, we've not done bad, have we, in terms of when you take it into perspective. I think we had 9 points out of the 5 away fixtures. So when you look at it like that, it's not as bad, but it's a tough one to take when you've just lost at the weekend and then you lose to these again after going out the trophy. But tactically, there was a couple of changes. Obviously, Kasper coming in. I thought he did really well, by the way, against Rollins. Really good pace. He hurt us in the last game, didn't he? And I thought Kasper nullified him and took him the other way at times, so that was good. Also enabling to give Banco a bit of a rest because he's needed one. And as you said, the other players coming in like George, Isaac again, you can tell they're just not quite there in terms of the technical side of it. The fitness, they look okay, but you could see East and Gilmore for them. That's normally how you would look at Isaac and George or an Aussie and a Tom. And they're the levels they've got to catch up to really quickly for us to sort of bridge that gap. So the big players for us, and as I said to you on the last interview, I know they will. But it's a bit painful at the moment because we're playing teams that will exploit any mistake that you make, and it felt like every shot they had in the second half almost went in, or any mistake we made, they punished us, and that's what good teams do. And when we had half chances, which we didn't have lots, I think Lucas has had one at the end, Noobs has gone through 1v1, we haven't been able to take our moments. So as I said, they're what we've got to strive to be in terms of levels wise. So yeah, we'll certainly look at it in a positive way of what we've got to do to get closer to them, because like I said, if we make the playoffs, I don't just want to make the numbers up, we actually want to go up. So we've got to do better than what we are at the moment.
It was disappointing coming out and seeing your team in the second half concede not one but 2 in quite quick succession.
Oh, massively. But listen, the skipper has been outstanding for us this season, hasn't he? And he'll hold his hands up on the second one. But yeah, we've got to do better. But it's just a mistake, and he doesn't make mistakes, Bainesy. And then he's been caught out, and we've been punished badly for that. So there's no way I'm going to come out and criticise Lewis Baines because of how good he's been this season. But when your better players as well aren't having their best day, and when I say at his best day, he hasn't done a lot wrong, but what he's done wrong, he's been punished for. So, like you said, when you concede one, that second one's a real deflator for you. And the lads did well to sort of show a bit of resilience. We got on the front foot again and tried to take the game to them. We went from a mid-block to a full press pretty much immediately after the first, the second goal definitely, because they were so close. But like I said, we just weren't good enough on the night. We weren't good enough to create enough. We weren't good enough to defend against them. We weren't good enough to retain the ball. And when you're not good enough in all them departments, you get beat.
And a disappointing bit of news off the pitch as well. Regan Lenny been handed a suspension. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what he's been suspended for and how long he's going to be out for?
Yeah, massively frustrating. I mean, I've got to be careful what I say because I'm sure the powers that will be listening carefully to the words that I'm going to use now. But a disgrace is a word that I'll certainly use to tell us, almost 20 past 6 that we weren't going to have him after it had been swiftly taken to a panel where they're deciding that the minimalist of contacts is deemed dangerous play. It's absolutely ridiculous. And as I said on my post-match interview, Scott Morris trying to get Regan sent off, punching the floor, slamming his feet, all the histrionics that come with that, has obviously made the other officials very aware that something untoward's happened. And when we've watched it back, the minimalist of contacts with the fingertips is deemed bad enough to suspend Regan as retrospective action. I'm really annoyed at it because the amount of times I've reported in retrospective things because they said they were going to clamp down on it, and absolutely nothing has been done. I could reel off a number of occasions we've highlighted things. So yeah, it's a really tough one to take. I'm not happy at all about it. I'm not saying that's affected that performance there in terms of the result, because even with Regan on, we obviously have more of an attacking threat, but it's certainly a big knock for us a couple of minutes before we're naming the team, when they know the team, and then you've got to change your best player who's coming out when you come into a really tough opponent like Rochdale. So a number of difficult things to take in that.
Something you can look forward to now. 4 home games on the trot from Altrincham after quite a difficult away spell for the club. How important is it to get that home form back up and running in the next few games?
Oh, it's huge, and you know what? I always say it in terms of I've got to see past the result, and that doesn't mean that I brush things under the carpet, but I have to see beyond the run of games that we have, and you have to have the vision to see where you might not pick up points, and you might, when you're playing a team in form, or where you're having a little bit of a dip because of players that you're missing. All these things factor into a season, and I reassured the players before this game, before we even kicked the ball, that potentially the worst case scenario is we fall out of the playoffs. But then you look at the run of home games we've got. We've been very strong at home, and we've got to be looking to take as many maximum points as possible. But you're playing teams who are now reaching a bit of form in your older shots, aren't you? Teams like that. You're playing Barnet, who look like champions elect at the moment. So there's no easy games, but we back ourselves against anyone at home. And like I said, hopefully with the games that people like George and Isaac are now getting under the belts, Rob finding his feet in goal, young Casper coming in, showing what he's about. Hopefully Charlie's back now as well. We're going to have to swallow Regan for a couple of games. So when we get them players back on the pitch, that's when we've been at our best, when we've had our strongest players out, which sounds very obvious, but when you play the best teams, you need your best players on the pitch, and we've not been able to do that probably in the last couple of games. But we have got very good players on the pitch, very good players who need the minutes to come back, and they're getting them now. So we're hoping, a bit like last season, we can be really strong going into that final 10 games.